I've been trying to film this for about a week and a half. I wrote a script. I'm going to go off script because I thought I'll just do a ramble rant type thing instead. Oh. Yeah, we're just gonna do that. So, disability could have a number of definitions, a number of descriptions, could mean a myriad of things. I like that word, myriad. I don't know where that little pin is. I had a pin, a disability pride pin, and I don't remember where I put it. But that's beside the point. Now I could pull out any one of my dictionaries and read you like the dictionary definition of disability. But I thought maybe I can just talk about how I personally deal with and understand disability. My sister has an intellectual disability. It makes it difficult for her to do a great many things. She is shorter than most. She has some facial differences. She is my older sister, and she went to a disability support school, and she thrived. If you compared her confidence and her attitude from when she was in a mainstream school to when she went to a specialist school, you can see that she had such an improvement. It was fascinating. So I feel that I understand disability as being more than just the diagnosis. It is the way that you live and the way that you handle these impediments. And the 2020s have not been the greatest for any of us. So I don't want to come out and be like, I had a terrible 2020s. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is sometimes you can get ill and nobody will know or notice until it is incredibly too late. Okay, well, not too late. Too late is being dramatic, but until it starts getting serious. When I was 12, I missed quite a bit of school because I had these horrible stomach aches. I used to describe them as there were people inside my stomach poking me with needles from the inside out. It hurt a lot. And that got diagnosed as irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. So I stopped eating some foods, and that helped. That was good. I also got bursitis in my left knee, which made it difficult for me to play sport. But then again, I was never very good at sport anyway, so it wasn't that big of a loss to me. I did fail the physical part of physical ed, but all the theory stuff I got really good. I aced those, and I read an entire Shakespeare play in the course of a semester. That's beside the point. These ailments did make it difficult for me to essentially be normal, and it made it hard to explain why I couldn't do things, because people wouldn't believe me. I also have the world's worst immune system in that every year without fail I will come down with the flu or a throat infection, or both in some circumstances. When I was 15, I had a combined throat infection and the flu, and I lost my voice for 2 weeks. That was fun. I got my voice back the day before my birthday. I was very happy because I was going to have a party. It would be difficult to have a party if you can't talk. It wasn't until after high school and past the peak of COVID, so 2021, that we realized something might actually be wrong with me. I went to see Come From Away, and after that, I was hit with incredible persistent nausea and fatigue. In that, I was great. I was fine. We get to the restaurant for dinner. I am slumped against the wall. I can barely move because I am just that exhausted and feel that sickly. It took 2.5 years and a lot of visits to specialists and a lot of blood tests and procedures and scopes and scans and just all that before we cautiously decided maybe it's celiac. Let's go gluten-free. That's thanks to a really great gastrointestinal specialist who took the extra step after taking biopsies from a gastroscopy. He took those for genetic testing, and I have the dominant celiac genes, so yeah. He said, try going gluten-free, and I did, and suddenly the nausea was gone. It was like a miracle. While not recognized as an official disability in Australia, having celiac does stop me from doing a lot of things. I make meeting up with people very not fun because they have to make sure that I can eat. We have to find somewhere gluten-free, and that's actually really difficult, and I'm still handling that and struggling with it. But also, if I do accidentally have gluten, cross-contamination or whatever, I will be out, just sick, unwell, stomach pain, nausea, in the bathroom, just horrible, which is not good. But that was not the last my body would give me. my body also decided celiac wasn't enough. And so we had discovered what was the cause of the nausea, but not what was the cause of the fatigue. And we're still investigating it, but our running theories are chronic fatigue syndrome and POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is, in very, very simple terms, my blood pressure does not like me. Blood pressure, heart rate, all that stuff. And what that amounts to is that I have almost passed out on a hike twice just this year. And I have documented them. Well, kind of documented. I've talked about them on the channel. You know those 2 hikes. And that is mostly because my blood pressure goes crazy and my pulse rate goes up and I get lightheaded. I also get really breathless, but that's possibly just a long COVID symptom. Now, POTS is recognized as a disability, which is great. Awesome. And so is autism, level 2 and up. Also great. Also awesome. Because I got that too. But what I'm really trying to say is that these disabilities do not actually disable me so much as they have forced me to recognize and accept my limits. What I can and cannot do, what I have the energy for, and what I can physically handle. So that's fun. I recently went to an information session to enroll in a course, a certificate in individual support, so that I could learn more how to look after my sister, or how to support her. And unfortunately, it turns out I may be too disabled for this course. What does that mean, you may ask? And I will gladly tell you what that means. This course specifically is for aging and disability care. So you would assume that you can split the work up between the two. There's 120 hours of work placement in a aged care facility or disability support facility of your choice. It sounds great. Awesome. They want you to do most of your 120 hours at an aged care support facility. The person running the information session also seems to be the one who's going to be running the classes. She was not impressed at all when I was talking about how my main focus is to help my sister with her disabilities. Which is great. That's lovely. Love that. So now I'm enrolled in an early child care course because I think I can do that better. I'd be better at that, and also the 120 hours work experience is shift work, and I don't have to be up at ridiculous times because I need my rests, otherwise I will just collapse. So I told my service provider about doing this course, and they looked at me, and they said, well, if you think you're too disabled to help lift an elderly person at an aged care facility, do you think you'll be able to help a disabled person? I'm like, probably not. That's why I decided to go for the other course. But you're not very good with children, are you? Like, you said you're not very good with kids, and you do realize that you're going to be, like, teaching, like, all ages from, like, babies to, like, kindergarten, right? So now begins the rant part, in that, yes, I may not be very good with kids. I'm not the greatest with younger people. However, I volunteer at Girl Guides Weekly. I am getting better at handling children. And honestly, I can find ways to entertain a child without having to worry about whether it would set off my ASD, whether it would make me feel horrible, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure I can do this. I know my own limits. I know what I'm strong in. I know what's going to make me fall over. I know what's going to set me off. I know how to pace myself so that I don't burn out. And I learned how to do this from many years of having to handle my own burnouts because I've overworked myself. And this is even before I found out about all these health conditions. Yes, I still do burn myself out, but I do that with my writing, my creative stuff. When it comes to my education, learning new skills, I'm very good at knowing when to stop, take a break, step back, and then go back to it when I'm better. I know how to do that. I know that the next 12 months are going to be interesting for me doing this course. But I also know that compared to the individual support course, I should be able to handle this. And besides, there's a lot of job openings for early childhood educators. And I think I'd be really good at it. I have a shelf back there that's just full of, like, children's level books. And I love reading them, and I can study them and analyze them. Probably a little higher level analysis than a child would have. But I am passionate enough that I can help children be as passionate as me in things. My time at kindergarten, even though I barely remember it, was probably some of the most fun I have ever had and will ever have. Because I was a child, I had all my innocence and my youth, I had my creativity, and I had my confidence. Now, I am an adult, and I still have imagination. Don't have many innocence anymore. Still young, but I have a lot of ailments. My wrist will occasionally get really painful, so I've started making myself, like, fingerless gloves, wrist warmers, things to stop my wrists from clicking and cracking, because it does that. It's very weird. Probably something to do with, like, the POTS or the chronic fatigue. The point I'm trying to get at here is that I feel like I have become more confident to be able to stand up for myself and for things I believe in, because I know what ails me. what makes me feel sick and what makes me feel like I need help. I know how to ask for that help. I know that next time I see my service provider, if they discourage me in any way, I'm going to go and ask for a new service provider. I'm going to do that because if you're going to discourage me, you're not really doing anything to help me. And that's kind of the whole reason I'm seeing you, is to help me. So, yeah. This video was supposed to be inspiring and encouraging, but it ended up being a bit of a rant and a ramble. But that's normal for me because, honestly, I hated the script. But what I want you to take away from this is that we, as humans, are not limited by the things that make us different. We aren't different because we're wired weird or we're physically unable to do something that someone else is. We're not limited by our ability or inability to do something or achieve something. We're only limited by our confidence and our courage. And the best way to get better at that is to step back, look over ourselves, analyze us, come to terms with and accept what is wrong. And in accepting that, we can then use our ailments as our strengths. It's like, I swear there's a movie or something where people will find out what makes you different, your illnesses, your disabilities, your ailments, your weird quirks and things, and they'll find a way to poison it, contaminate it, and turn it against you. They will find a way to use that as a weapon. But if we ourselves come to terms with these issues, these weaknesses, and we learn to embrace them, we can turn what they use as weapons against us into weapons that we can use against them. Because once we've accepted the things that make us weird, they have nothing to stand on to make us self-conscious. I wrote a book a long while ago, and there was a character who had a physical deformity in her face. Yeah, I was very much inspired by Phantom of the Opera. And when I gave her an epitaph that was her own quote, and it was, "Being unique is not a curse, it is a gift." And I'm finding to this day that those words still hold a lot of power for me, in that uniqueness is important, uniqueness is cool. If we were all the same person, we would not have fun. Individuality is a blessing. It is what makes each and every one of us who we are, instead of conforming or being like everyone else. We're not a cookie cutter society. We are our own people. When you find shells on a beach, they're not all going to be the same. And that's a good thing. Because the appeal of things, especially people and objects, is that they're not the same. We are drawn to some people because they stand out. People are drawn to us because we stand out. And if we cease to stand out, we become an old black and white photo where nothing looks unique. And I don't think we should, because if we weren't unique, we wouldn't have new inventions or creative outlets. And that is important to our being. So the next time you look at your disability or your ailment and you think that it makes you an outcast, I want you to think about some of the most famous outcasts in literary history, or think about how being an outcast is actually a good thing, because it means that you are not a robot. I think we need to stop thinking that disabilities and illnesses stop us from being able to do things, and start thinking about how disabilities empower us. Because without them, we wouldn't be us. Yeah, that's my rant. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry it's late. I got distracted trying to find the best way to film it. So now I'm gonna edit this, and I probably won't edit it tonight because I'm tired. But when this comes out, I hope you find it inspiring in some way, shape, or form. And I will get back on the ball with actually filming things properly. And I will see you next week, I guess. Bye.